Imagine waking up every morning in a completely different body, a different face, a different voice, a different life. No one knows who you are. No one remembers you. Every connection you make disappears overnight. You can't stop it. You can't explain it. And the scariest part, you never know who you'll become next. This is the story of a girl trapped in a life that resets every single day, and what she discovers about the world and herself. Every morning begins with confusion. Not just the ordinary kind, the haze of waking up too early, or the struggle to remember what day it is, but a deeper, more disorienting kind of confusion. It starts the moment my eyes open, and I feel something is off. My limbs don't rest where they should. My hands look different. The ceiling above me isn't the one I fell asleep under. And when I rush to the mirror, what stares back is never the same. I wake up in a different body every single morning. It doesn't matter what I did the day before, how I went to sleep or where I was. I could drift off on a soft bed in a warm house and awaken on a concrete floor in a stranger's skin. Gender, race, age, physical condition, none of it is consistent. Some mornings I wake up old aching joints and slow breath. Other days I open my eyes to find the body of a child, clumsy and short, with a high-pitched voice that doesn't match the thoughts in my head. It's not just physical, it's everything. The voice that comes out of my mouth doesn't belong to me. My fingerprints change, my smell is foreign. The clothes I wear don't fit me anymore, sometimes too tight, other times far too loose. I have to relearn myself every day. I stare at my hands, turn them over, try to memorize a face in the mirror I'll never see again. I study the curve of a nose, the way my eyes crinkle, how tall I am compared to the doorframe. And by the time I begin to adjust, it's already late in the day and night looms again with its silent promise of transformation. Even the most mundane tasks become complex. Washing my face, brushing my teeth, choosing what to wear. These things depend on the body I've been given. If I wake up in a body that's strong and athletic, I might move with ease, even grace. If I end up in a frail frame, I have to navigate stairs and sidewalks with care, gripping handrails and watching every step. I've had to adjust to being nearsighted one day and perfectly clear-eyed the next. I've woken up in bodies with scars I can't explain, tattoos in languages I don't understand, or bruises from fights I don't remember. Sometimes it's terrifying, sometimes it's fascinating, but it's never predictable. There's a mental toll to it too. Everybody brings with it a sense of dislocation, a subtle war between what I know and what I feel. I know who I am, or at least who I used to be, but each new form carries echoes of someone else's life. I wake up with cravings I've never had, fears that aren't mine, habits that feel familiar though they shouldn't. I find myself walking differently, speaking with accents I never learned, laughing at jokes that come naturally in voices I don't recognize. There's a strange muscle memory in each new form, as if the body remembers things my mind does not. The worst part is the moment right after waking, the first 5 seconds where I don't yet know, when I open my eyes and feel a flicker of hope that maybe this time I'm back in my own skin, that maybe the spell has broken, the nightmare ended. But then the weight settles in. My voice cracks in an unfamiliar tone. My fingers are too long or too stubby. My reflection confirms the truth before I can even prepare for it. I don't know what triggers it. There's no warning, no pattern, no explanation. I fall asleep as one person and wake up as another, as if the universe is flipping through channels. And I'm just a character in every story. Some days I'm dropped into chaos, waking up mid-conversation in the middle of a street in a hospital bed. Other times it's peaceful, but the change is always absolute. I lose everything: identity, connections, control. The only constant is the switch itself. The only thing I can count on is change. There is no one I can tell, not really. Not without sounding insane or desperate or like I'm inventing some elaborate lie to get attention. If I told anyone the truth, that I wake up in a different body every morning, they'd look at me with confusion, maybe even concern, then either laugh or slowly back away. So I stopped trying. I learned early on that this reality, this impossible, shape-shifting existence, is mine to carry alone. Living like this means constantly hiding in plain sight. I pass through the world without anyone really seeing me, because even if someone met me today, they wouldn't recognize me tomorrow. I could build a connection, share a moment, maybe even a conversation that feels like it matters, but it all gets wiped clean the next day. That person wouldn't know me again. They'd pass me on the street and never look twice. To them, I'm just another stranger. Always. Friendships are impossible. Relationships? Unthinkable. I can't explain to someone why I suddenly look different. I can't come home to the same people or continue the same conversations. I don't have a consistent face, a reliable voice, a familiar name. I don't even have a home. Wherever I wake up becomes my temporary shelter, a borrowed place I don't belong to. Sometimes it's a mansion, sometimes it's a crumbling apartment, sometimes it's a park bench, but never mine. That means I've had to become a ghost in my own life. I don't keep photos, I don't carry keepsakes, I don't have a favorite jacket or a phone full of memories. I don't use social media. How could I, with a face that never stays the same? I can't hold a job, I can't apply for anything official. I have no documents, no consistent identity, no proof that I even exist. I drift, I observe, I blend in when I can and disappear when I must. There's an ache that comes with never being known, not truly. People know the bodies I wear for a day, but not me. The one inside, the voice behind the eyes, the mind that remains constant even as the skin changes. I'm invisible in a crowd, and yet more painfully aware of myself than anyone else could ever be. I remember everything, every life I touch, every conversation I have to abandon, every person I almost connect with before I vanish again. There are days when I try to write letters to myself, as if I could form some kind of thread through all of this. I've left messages in books, carved notes into tree bark, scribbled on bathroom walls in places I might return to someday, but I never do. The bodies don't repeat. The places rarely do either. The notes remain unread, the messages unanswered, the evidence of my existence scattered across the world like whispers in the wind. I have to be careful. I never know who I'm waking up as, what kind of life I've stepped into. Some bodies are dangerous. Some are hunted. Some are criminals. Some are victims. Some are completely unknown. I have to assess, adapt, survive. I can't call attention to myself. I can't leave traces. One wrong move and someone might notice something is off, so I fake familiarity. I nod and smile, hoping no one asks questions I can't answer. I improvise, always pretending to be someone I'm not. Because technically I am. The isolation isn't just physical, it's emotional, psychological. I carry everything I experience with me, but I can't share it. I see people's lives from the inside, learn their deepest fears, walk through their private pain, and then I'm gone. I can't mourn them properly. I can't reach out to say thank you or I'm sorry or I remember. Every connection is one-sided. Every goodbye is silent, and no one even knows I was there. Each new body I wake up in brings not just a physical change, but an entire world attached to it. I don't just wear someone's skin, I enter their life, however briefly, and everything they carry comes with it. Emotions, memories, habits, fears and routines start to bleed into me, and I learn more from these moments than any school book or mentor ever taught me. There are flashes, small, powerful things that feel like they don't belong to me, but I understand them anyway. The way someone glances over their shoulder when walking home at night, instinctively, even though the street is empty. The relief in someone's chest when they finally hear a voice they love. The sharp sting of a regret so deep it weighs down the whole body. I've tasted pride in accomplishments I didn't earn, panic over debts I didn't create, and the quiet ache of longing for someone I've never met. These are real, lived emotions, and for a day at a time they become mine too. I've been in the body of a doctor, moving through hallways with practiced urgency, feeling the weight of lives in my hands. I didn't know the medical terms or the history of the patients, but there was something in the way the hands moved, the mind focused. That told me what it felt like to carry responsibility beyond yourself. I've been a street musician, strumming strings with fingers that knew only calluses and chords, earning coins and nods of appreciation, feeling the rush of art being heard, even if just for a moment. I've walked in bodies worn down by poverty, where survival is a day-to-day task, and I've sat in mansions where silence feels heavier than noise. The contrast is sharp. There is no single human experience. No two lives are lived the same way. What breaks one person may barely touch another. What one person fears, another may crave. Some people live with a quiet strength, enduring things others would collapse under. Some carry their pain in their eyes, others hide it behind laughter. But in every life I enter, I find pieces of truth, raw, unpolished, and unspoken truths about what it means to exist. I've come to understand things that words can't fully explain, like how grief doesn't always look like tears. It can be numbness, anger, confusion, or even laughter. I've felt how love doesn't always come with joy. Sometimes it's sacrifice, longing, or the ache of never being enough. I've realized that loneliness can be felt even in a room full of people, and that sometimes the deepest wounds are the invisible ones carried quietly beneath the surface of a smile. With each new life, I gain more empathy. I've learned how judgment fades when you understand the story behind someone's choices. I've been in bodies that the world labels as dangerous or broken or strange, and felt the truth of their inner world, the hope they carry, the battles they fight, the dignity they protect even when the world refuses to see it. I've worn shame like a second skin, and pride like armor. I've experienced what it's like to be overlooked, overvalued, feared, worshipped, hated, and loved, all within the same month. Each day is a lesson. Every set of eyes I look through reshapes my perspective. The more I live in others, the less I hold on to my old assumptions. I no longer ask, why would someone do that? Because I've felt their reasons. I've heard their inner monologues, their secrets, the quiet motivations that drive them to act the way they do. I've learned that people are far more complex than they appear, and that understanding comes not from observation, but from experience. Loneliness doesn't always come from being alone. It comes from not being seen, not being known, not being remembered. I'm surrounded by people every day, walking through crowded streets, sitting in full cafes, standing in lines, brushing past hundreds of lives, but none of them know me. Not the real me, the one buried underneath whatever skin I'm wearing that day. I could speak to someone, laugh with them, even hold their hand, and it would mean nothing tomorrow. Because tomorrow I won't look the same. I won't sound the same. I'll be someone else and they'll have no idea I ever existed. There is no one to come home to, no one to check in with, no one who can say, I missed you, or you're late, or are you okay, because to them, I never stay. I don't belong to any place. I can't settle. I can't commit to anything long-term. Jobs, friendships, routines, dreams, they all slip through my fingers before I can even grasp them. I've tried before. I've tried to stay in one place, tried to build something that could anchor me, but permanence is not a luxury I'm allowed. I see the world, constantly shifting around me while I remain an outsider. People grow older, fall in love, fight, forgive, celebrate milestones, mourn losses, move forward. But for me, every morning resets the board. I don't get to move forward. I start over again and again, an endless loop of introductions and exits. Nothing sticks. Nothing lasts. Even my own reflection is a stranger every time. I don't have a photo album. I don't have a favorite mug or a drawer full of old clothes. I don't even have a place to return to. Wherever I wake up is where I exist for that day, and then it's gone. The absence of continuity is maddening. There's no rhythm, no pattern, no thread to hold on to. I can't say I've lived in any city, because I've lived in all of them, and none of them. I've had hundreds of names whispered to me, seen them on ID cards, heard them from friends, lovers, parents, but none of them are mine. I don't get to build a history. I don't get to carry memories forward with people. Everything I experience is one-sided, and everyone I meet disappears as soon as I fall asleep. Even when I find comfort, I know it won't last. A warm bed, a kind face, a moment of laughter, it all feels like holding smoke. I want to believe in something stable, something that stays, but I know better. Attachment is dangerous when you live like this. Hope becomes a weakness. Every time I allow myself to feel close to someone, to believe that maybe this body, this place, this moment might last, I pay for it the next morning. The deeper the connection, the sharper the loss. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be remembered. To have someone recognize me, not just the body I'm in, but me, my thoughts, my humor, my fears. Someone who could look past the skin and see the constant beneath the change. But that's a fantasy. The world is built to recognize faces, voices, physicality, not souls. Not the invisible self that floats behind the eyes, unchanged while everything else shifts. I've screamed in silence just to be seen. I've tried leaving notes, clues, messages behind for people to find, but no one ever does. Because I'm always someone new before they can understand. Even time feels different. For others, it moves in a line. Birth to death, year to year, experience building on experience. For me, it moves in fragments. Every day is a disconnected scene from 100 different lives. I carry the memories, but I can't share them. I can't trace my own growth. I can't tell a story of where I've been, because the story doesn't make sense. It jumps and skips and bends in ways no one could follow. At first, it felt like a punishment. This constant shifting, this inability to hold on to anything real or stable. Waking up in a new body every day seemed cruel, like I had been singled out and stripped of a normal life. I couldn't plan for the future, couldn't rely on consistency, couldn't form the bonds that give life depth and meaning. But somewhere along the way, after enough days of living in the skin of strangers, something changed. I started to notice patterns, connections, pieces of understanding that I wouldn't have seen from just one perspective. The chaos began to take the shape of something else, something that might be a gift disguised as a curse. Every life I step into offers a window into a different version of what it means to be human. Not the polished versions people present to the world, but the raw, unfiltered truths that lie underneath. I've felt the calloused hands of a laborer who works 12 hours a day to feed a family that barely notices his absence. I've sat in a boardroom in a $1,000 suit, feeling the weight of decisions that affect people I'll never meet. I've lived a day inside someone paralyzed by fear, someone unable to leave the house, whose world is made up of windows and silence. Each of these experiences adds a layer to my understanding of people, how they survive, what drives them, what wounds they carry and hide. The pain I witness is varied, and it's everywhere. But so is joy. So is resilience. I've laughed in bodies that had nothing, danced in kitchens where the power was out, held hands with strangers who didn't know my name but saw something in my eyes. I've woken up in the arms of people who whispered love into the morning light, even though it wasn't really meant for me. And in those moments, I get to feel what matters most, the parts of life that remain even when everything else changes. Understanding humanity isn't just about watching others, it's about becoming them, even for a day. I don't just see how people live, I feel it. I carry their memories like fragments, pieces of a puzzle I never get to complete. I don't keep their secrets, but I hold the shape of them in my mind. I've cried over heartbreaks that aren't mine, flinched at past traumas I've never lived, and smiled at the memory of a child I'll never meet again. These sensations, these experiences, stack inside me. They don't fade, they stay. This shifting life forces me to live without judgment. I've learned that choices are rarely simple, that people lie because they're afraid, cheat because they're broken, push others away because they've been hurt too many times. I've learned that strength can look like silence, and that kindness doesn't always come with smiles. I've lived in bodies judged by the world, seen the way strangers stare, felt the weight of assumptions and realized how wrong they often are. Beauty fades when you wear it daily. Power feels empty when it isn't earned. Status means little when the soul inside is starving for peace. I don't get to build my own story, but I get to walk through countless others. And in doing so, I've seen more than most people ever will. The richness of humanity lies in its contrasts, in the sharp edges and the soft spaces, the flaws and the faith, the cracks where the light still finds a way through. I've learned to see people beyond appearances, beyond words, beyond actions. There is something deeper, something consistent in every life I step into, a pulse that beats beneath the surface, a need to be seen, understood, accepted,